So I wake up and there's these human beings in this area and they're all laying down on these little like golf cart, or I'd say like go-kart things that are definitely gas powered, and for some reason everybody's laying on them, and there's thousands of them like everywhere. They're just going around in circles, not particular race, yelling and screaming and having somewhat of a good time, and I'm not sure where the heck I'm at. There's oil all over the ground, and like just I remember things being a lot very dirty. I'm walking down the sidewalk, and as I'm walking, this figure comes in front of me, and it's about, I would say, 8 feet tall, and it looks very peculiar. Beady eyes, a very square nose, very large prominent brow, squared chin. I couldn't even tell if it had a beard or not, but it had this giant furry brown coat thing around it. It had very, very large hands, and as we were walking, passing each other, we kept making eye contact, and finally I just stopped and looked at it, and we stared at each other for a few moments, and I reached out my hand. I says, "Hello, my name is Adrian." It stuck its hand out just with its finger, and as I went to touch its finger, it electrocuted me and lifted me up in the air and elevated me. The electricity went over my whole entire body. I could feel it going into my heart, and I thought I was going to die. He had me levitated in front of him for a while before he let me go, and when he let me go, he says, "It has been decided, you are number 11. And then he turned around and started walking away, and I turned and I yelled at him. I says, "What the hell does that mean?" And he says, "You know what it means, and you know what you need to do." And I turned, and my grandmother, who passed away, came up behind me and says, "You watch yourself with ones like that." I took off running away from her, and I ran down the block, and I ended up inside of a street where there was a wood chipper and a bunch of trees that fell down. And I looked around, there was nobody looking at me, nobody around there. There was the wood chipper sitting there unattended to. And what I did is I thought to myself, I think I know what he means. I got down on all fours, and I put my hands over my head, and I focused as hard as I could. And what happened is I took all the wood chips and I reassembled a tree that had been fallen over, and I reassembled it back into life. And that's all I can remember. I went looking for this creature. I took off running, and my heart started pounding so hard in my chest about what I did, reconnecting the tree, that I didn't know what the heck was supposed to happen. What if somebody saw me do that? And I needed to know more information. And when it appears that I opened my eyes, I was actually at my grandfather's house, and I immediately stood up, looked out the window looking for this creature, and realized that this was either a dream or a vision or something crazy, and I wanted to express that to you before it got lost out of translation. One of the most profound experiences. I still don't know what the fuck that was, but I want to talk today about what it means to save the world, what we can all do about it. Welcome to another edition of Up and In It. I'm your host, Adrian Babashoff, and if you're new here and you're wondering what this place is about, it is 100% devoted to creating a lifestyle that improves quality of life for people and planet, exploring alternatives to the daily grind through liberation and independence, moving from surviving to thriving and living life raw. Today, I don't know if I really need much show notes. I woke up at 5 o'clock this morning as usual, and I've been in a weird mood. I'm not sure if it's happy, sad, it's kind of neutral. But I think it's positive, and what's got me going is my burlap garden invention, my burlap container garden. I just realized that I want to get a message out to you, and I think I did one that your planet needs you, and it kind of based around that, but going maybe in a little more depth here, and going out on a limb, as you can't tell from the introduction, of sharing very personal information, but I think the world needs it, and I think people need to hear messages like this. So what do I mean that we to save the world this morning? Honestly, the people that are making things happen that nobody talks about, that people aren't aware of. I just saw a YouTube video of Willie Smits in 2019, and I think it got a couple thousand views. And the words that are coming from this man are immaculate. There is so much stuff out there that it's positive stuff, and then all the negative things that we have. I think that we should, if all these things are true, if this is not a fear factor thing here that's going on here, where people are trying to submit us into votes and some form to keep us in fear, and the earth is happening with what they say is happening to it, we need people like this. And what I've decided this morning is that, and I've always known this, but it's been fortified, that I want to be one of those people that has answers, and one of those people to help It's my life's fucking mission, is to better this planet and Operation Free the People. So here I am doing whatever small part that I can. So you guys, I'm going off the cuff here today, and I want here to let you guys know that you guys are not cancer. You are only cancer to yourself if you believe that. Jeff Lawton spoke about how we need more people, and I think I spoke in my podcast about that, about Tom Brown Jr.'s farm, how the more people pruned the forest, the better and better it got. And there's so many things going on in the world right now, and there's negatives, and I think that we don't have enough positives going on. And why is it that a lot of us are not educated and learning these things in our public education of how to save the world? And I don't know where I'm coming exactly today, other than I want to reach out to you guys. So we have things, most of us are all devoted to what science says. And I think that there's some merit and there's some good stuff to science. But science can't really explain a lot of things like death, simple gestures of how you're able to take your hand and form it into a fist, open and close it. I think what we think we are and what we really are is we have no idea. There's a lot of talk of the collective consciousness. When we dream, where do we go? What are those weird places? Those things that may even be considered prophecies. What can science explain about that? I believe that there is a way to reconnect nature with technology, even nature with the monetary system. I think that we're going to need to figure things out that way. And how is that possible? We're going to have to rethink the way we do things. We're going to have to redo our mindset. Well, if you're still here and you're not freaked out yet, man, I just woke up today in such a strange mood, and I'm very proud of my burlap garden, my burlap container gardening that I've invented, and I can't wait to share it with the world. And it's just very special to me, as I said in my podcast yesterday, is that it feels like it's making such a difference in the world that I finally found something that's non-toxic, that's completely 100% renewable. And today I'm just kind of going on a rant and see how well this works. I really realize that I want to be a big part of the people that are involved right now in the world that are doing wonderful and great fucking things. There's so much going out that a lot of us don't hear about. And there's a lot of fucking negativity as well. And I think that we're losing our intuition and our touch and our feel with nature, with ourselves, with everything. I think it's a great disconnect. And I mean, we can't even communicate well anymore. Look at the communication. I'm having this too. I'm not pointing the finger out to the world, but it's hard to communicate sometimes with my children. My head is going off in so many different directions, and we're getting completely disassociated from not just nature, but ourselves. And I think we all need to stop, and we need to really ask ourselves the question of what is the meaning of life? What is all of this? What the fuck are all these fucking dreams, man? What are all these weird things like when you start thinking about 12 moon cycles per year, 12 menstrual cycles per year for women, these cycles, these numbers, this big giant puzzle. And yet we're sitting here worried about fucking money. Well, the earth is completely fucking falling apart. And unless that's a fear fucking thing that the government and whatever the powers that be, the system, is trying to keep us under thumb through fear. But regardless whether this was happening or not, I think that there's a lot of things that we all owe to not just to the planet and our children and the animals, but to ourselves. I want to express the feeling, you guys, that I have of this invention of my burlap sacks, my burlap container gardening. When you find something like this and you find like you have the answers, you want to share it with everybody. And I don't really have much people to share it with. My kids don't really understand. I think my dog Hazel understands. That's why she's laying down not looking at me. Dad's on another one. Jesus Christ. How many times the poor dog has to listen to all my fucking information, guys? She's an angel. But no, the feeling that you get is you want to share it with the fucking world. And I can't even imagine some of these greats like Willie Smits and Paul Stamets and the list goes on of all the wonderful things that they're doing. And why are we not educated on these things? We need to turn this. I guess where this is going to is, what is this show about more in depth? And I think that everything needs to be reinvented, or everything needs to be invented. I'm not quite sure how I want to proceed with that thought there. But we need to do things different, guys. There's something missing. I think the majority of people are probably the message I have is going to go right over their fucking head, or they're going to look and go, what a loon. But what do you have inside your heart? What do you have inside your mind and inside your soul? That feeling that you get, like making an invention of some sort that's 100% biodegradable and absolutely does no harm to the planet whatsoever. You can grow your own food, and you can look at it and you can feel 100% good inside your soul, in your mind, in your heart, everywhere. That feeling you get inside your body of doing good. And I want to formulate a lifestyle designed for us to live your life just like growing your food in these containers, and practicing permaculture and natural farming and natural gardening. The feeling to be able to look out in your own living space, and at the end of your life, to look at all the work you've done and what you're leaving behind, a wake of beauty and of an abundant garden. For those of you who are religious, that's what the good Lord put you guys here for. I'm personally not religious, but I have no qualms against it. If that's what you believe, I'm totally for it. And I think that everybody should have peace and respect for each other, and that's what I have. But if the God put these people here, and it actually says in the Bible that this is your garden, you are the caretakers, is to multiply the earth, then what do you think your dad watching down on you thinks of you right now? With you using toxic chemicals, having an island the size of a fucking small country floating in the middle of the fucking ocean. This is some disgusting fucking shit. But there's such wonderful stuff that we can do as well. And I guess I beg of you guys to not look at nature as a whore and as something that we have to fight against. We can actually use nature and technology together, as Willie Smith said in the new speaking engagement that he did here in 2019, and it only got a few thousand views. And I'm wondering, why isn't this stuff public, like out there? He's basically saying how we could use artificial intelligence and satellite imagery to keep an eye on the forest, the jungles, and be able to tell the health of the trees, and be able to do mass things to rebuild nature through artificial intelligence and through technology. So this is a place where the world that we live in, the technological world, can actually be married with nature to do good things. And I think that we have the misconception that we all love technology. I love technology. I'm using technology right now, and it is polluting in some sense, but it's also doing great. Think about some of the things like I've learned in this last year was I don't even need to have a copy machine anymore in my truck using paper or energy. I learned that this little box thing that I'm filming and recording my show on today, I can actually write out a contract on the computer, email it to myself. There's no paper involved. On my cell phone, I can get one of those little stylus pens, I think they're called. My customer signs the contract, and then I save it. I email it to them. They have a copy. That goes into a digital file, and I have my digital copy. It saves time, it saves money, and makes things a lot easier, and actually helps with sales, because when someone says yes, what you want to do is have them sign it and get everything in agreement right then and there, and that's what closes the deal and gets everything up and running. And to let you guys know, I'm not a shark. If my customer for any reason and point in time comes and says, hey, I changed my mind, even though it's been past 3 days, I say no problem, no worries. Keep the contract, and when you're ready for the job, we'll do it. I'm not a pushy person. People first, human the fuck up. Human up first. Not man up, not cowboy up, human up. So I think I want to talk of these things of the show of creating a lifestyle design. If you guys noticed, anybody who's been following me, I kind of changed it around because I didn't realize that I was leaving a very important detail out. is that if you're wondering what the show is about, it's about creating a lifestyle design that that builds quality in life for people and for the planet. That's my life's mission, and I will not stop, and I will go till my dying day pursuing this as my main goal. I don't think that when you live in a life like I do, there is no roadmaps. There's no way, nobody pointing direction. There's no instruction. There's no manual to life. So you kind of have to just make things go as you go. And it's actually pretty exciting that way, because I think it's pretty boring to know what the outcome's going to be. And I think one of the smartest things I've heard was a saying that it's not the where you're going to, it's not the destination, it's the journey. And life is continually a journey. So enjoy the journey and all the process and all the things that you will learn and experience during it. And I think that we get linear in our spirituality, in our thinking, and in our lives, that even in the monetary system, from here in, I'm going to work really hard, and then when I get to retire, I'm going to retire, and I'm going to do absolutely nothing. Well, sometimes it doesn't work that way, and often more than not. I kind of like to think in this permaculture design is that in the edges is where you get the most action. And I like to apply this towards our lives, towards bettering our lives, is when you have a forest, let's say, and the forest comes in and meets a meadow, well, the insects and the plant diversity and everything right where those two intersect is the most abundant area. A pond is actually a better description of this. Say you have a pond that's got, well, it's a circle, and one side of the pond is facing north and it never gets any sun. There'll be different insects and plants that grow in that area in contrast to the south facing side that always gets sun. There will be mosses and things in that area, and different from the west and the east. And on those edges of diversity, if you're a fisherman, you know that there are some large fish and things way out in the middle of the ocean, but the most diversity that you get is all along the shoreline. And when I look at this in life, I see this as for enjoying everything for what it is, walking in no man's land, walking on the edges. If those of you who don't know, like, the lifestyle of wolves and like mountain lions is that they have this radius. They'll go and piss around their territory. Chimpanzee, same thing. Everybody knows that there's this area where you do not go. So the tribes will actually fight each other to keep that territory for hunting rights and things of that nature. Well, every once in a while you get a naughty wolf or a monkey, they get kicked out. They have to exist within the parameters of those two sides. I look on a more peaceful note of walking the edges of life as is the philosophy in permaculture, instead of picking left or right, because everybody in the end makes sense. Everybody has something smart to say, and I think if we all chose to walk in the center instead of choosing a side or the other, and we combined all the information, then we would be able to create something wonderful and beautiful. Almost like the story of the stone soup. For those of you who haven't heard, I think it was 3 gentlemen came into a village one day, and they asked for food. They were very hungry, and everybody says, no, we're not a welfare unit here. So the guy says, okay, fine. And what they did is they got this big old pot of water, and they started boiling it, and they put stones in there. And they're sitting there mixing this thing up and getting all excited. And then next thing you know, a passerby would come over and go, hey, what you guys doing there? They're like, making stone soup. Would you like some? And he's like, sure. And I think the story goes that they said, well, you know what would really make the stone soup good is some carrots or something. And the guy goes, I got some carrots. So he runs over and gets some carrots, and he throws the carrots in the pot. Next thing you know, over time, to shorten the story, people would be walking by and say, you know what would go good in that stone carrot soup is some potatoes and some yams. And people started throwing things in there. And next thing you know, these 3 men brought together the entire village to cook a potluck meal, and got a meal themselves and joined everybody in unison. So I'm not sure what my meaning is today, just kind of rolling off the cuff. And I guess that's all that I have. And well, I guess that's it. So I hope you guys enjoyed the show. If you guys like this sort of thing, check me out on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and all the areas where there's podcasts. Everything's up and in it. Don't lose your muchness. Carry on the fire. Human up. Live it, love it, own it, bone it.